just your thinking on how Javon has looked so far, and also obviously you have a background with Jason McCourty. What made you feel like he'd be an effective safety at this point in his career? Obviously, he's played some in the past, but mostly corner for you and for others.
Well, Javon, I think he's doing some good things. Obviously, it's still very early in training camp. I haven't put the pads on, but up to this point, just from a alignment, assignment, responsibility standpoint, he's moving in the right direction. Um, Smart kid, he's hardworking. Um, Football's important to him. He's trying to take in as much as he can. He's really, um, I would say, trying to be a sponge with these veteran players. You mentioned Jason, but also Rowe, Byron, X. So he's doing a good job from that standpoint. As far as Jason, uh, yes, obviously I have some familiarity with him. I was there with him 1 year. More familiarity with his brother, but he's a smart, tough, um, um, experienced. Um, he's got leadership qualities, um, and I think he's obviously you mentioned he's played safety in the past, so he has some. Uh, he's played the position in the past, so it's not the first time he's done it. I think he's done a good job so far, um, along with with Eric Rowe and the rest of the guys in that safety crew, Brandon Jones, Fedge, etc. So we're pleased with all the guys, and hopefully we can continue to string good days together.
I want to ask you about the players that are out because they're on the COVID list. And obviously, these are new rules. We're still trying to figure these rules out. But technically, because they're not testing on a regular basis, players and people who are vaccinated can contract COVID and spread COVID. Is that a concern of yours that maybe 1 week somebody can come in contact with COVID and by the time he's tested again in 2 weeks, the virus could be possibly spread more rampantly throughout your team?
I think it's something the entire league's dealing with, and we're going to follow league protocols. I think just common courtesy is if you have any symptoms, whether you're supposed to test 10 days from now, you should probably test. I think that's just, and we've mentioned that to players, really anyone in the building, and really that should that's really kind of the case throughout the league. So, but we're going to follow league protocols. I mean, you mentioned we've had to put the guys in the tight end group on the COVID list. And we'll make our adjustments as a staff as far as who's practicing where and how we handle that. But yeah, I mean this is something we've been dealing with for a year and a half now, and um, I think we're just going to continue to follow the protocols and do our best with this COVID situation, which it's ongoing. It's not over.
It's been reported that George Gotzi tested positive for COVID. What can you tell us about his situation and if he is going to be absent today and how that might affect the team and what happens out there on the field in the meetings?
Yeah, well, George won't be out there today for medical reasons. Again, like I said, I don't go into people's medical situation. I think that's a private matter, and I think individually they can speak for themselves on whether it's vaccination or whatever the situation is. So how we're gonna handle that, obviously Eric and the rest of the guys on offense are they're just gonna fill in for what the things that George does. We've talked about that. We have a plan. We had a plan. This is no different than last year. I think it's if I go down, then we got a plan for that. If George goes down, we have a plan for that. If Boyer goes down, we have a plan for that. I think that's the case throughout the league. It's not just the coaching staff, but really every department, because this is not specific to one group. We're all, have the potential of contracting COVID. So, yeah, we just have to be ready to make adjustments and be flexible as a staff, as an organization, and make the best of the situation.
George, the only coach or staffer that you know of at this time that is expected to be absent?
Again, I don't, I'm not going to go into anyone's situation. There's obviously we have some players who are on the COVID list, and we'll make the adjustments we need to make within our staff to specific to the coaching staff or anyone else in our organization.
Pat's coming on tomorrow, correct? So what are you looking forward to seeing from linemen or anyone else?
Good fundamentals, good technique, good pad level. Again, good communication. I think our overall communication leads to good communication leads to good, hopefully good execution, and that's really it. I think pads, no pads. Those are the things I'm looking for. Good huddle, good communication, get aligned, know your assignment, know your responsibility. Once the pads come on, then we get to see the techniques, fundamentals we work on a day-to-day basis. In action, in pads. We want those in actions and out of pads too. So just more protection for the players. Can be a little bit more aggressive, and it's real football. So we're looking forward to it.
I want to ask you for some clarity on Jesse Davis. We've seen him practice, but then begin practice, participate in 11-on-11s, and then kind of sit out the second half of 11-on-11s. Is it a veteran pacing? Is it injury related? Is it just coaching decision to look at other guys?
That's probably all those things. And Jesse's not the only one. We've had a few guys kind of let's call it take a modified approach to the day. I think we have a plan for each player. We try to execute that plan. Obviously, there's reasoning behind why we're doing what we're doing, and we just feel like that's in the best interest of Jesse, or if we do it with another player, it's in the best interest of that player.
What areas did you see to improve on the most, and what are you hoping to see as you move out of the acclimation period into pads and a little bit more intense level of practice?
What's your name? We haven't met. Oh, how you doing, Lindsay? Nice to meet you. Tua I think he's gotten off to a good start. Still a long way to go. Still very early. Good command of the offense. His techniques and his that's QB mechanics, fundamentals. Trying to work those every day and get them where they need to be, so that his footwork, his timing, that all kind of plays into his accuracy as a passer, but also ball handling with the backs and things of that nature. So I think he's off to a solid start. It's still very early. We haven't. It's still so early. We got a long way to go, and we just need to continue to string good days together. That's always my message to the team. One meeting, one walkthrough, one practice, one play at a time, and he's taking that approach, and we're seeing small improvements on a daily basis, and hopefully that continues. And it's not just Tua, it's Jacoby, it's Reed, and a lot of players offensively, defensively in the kicking game.
Brian, is there any update on X regarding either his injury or contract status?
Well, X, a little setback on the ankle, so he's, we're going to hold him out today. As far as the contract, that's continuing to have dialogue with X about that, and just take it one day at a time from that standpoint. And, but I do think we're moving in the right direction.
Coach, you had mentioned last week about collaboration on the offensive side of the ball, coaches working together for one vision. Is there a crossover on the offense to the defense and vice versa? And if so, what are the benefits to that?
I think yes, there is crossover. I think if you're an offensive player and understand how the defense is trying to attack you or prevent you from doing what you want to do, then if you understand that, then that gives you an advantage. And same thing, vice versa. If you're a defensive player or coach and you understand with the offense how they're trying to attack you, there's some things you can anticipate. There's some things you can coach your players up on that will hopefully help them either not allow the defense to win or not allow the offense to win. So I think it's all encompassing. I talk to our coaching staff and say, hey, if you're a defensive coach and you can give an offensive player a coaching point, do it. Same thing, if you're an offensive coach, you give a defensive one of our defensive players a coaching point, give it to them. I mean, we're a team. Obviously, we're competing against each other out here on the practice field, and I know offense wants to beat defense, and defense wants to beat the offense. And when we're in the kicking game, the punt return unit wants to beat the punt team. But at the end of the day, we're a team, and if there's a way, something we can do to help a player on the other side of the ball, we should do that, and we have. And it's I've seen players talk to each other, offensive line, defensive line, receivers, DBs, safeties, quarterback. Just some of those conversations. I think that's where you get a lot of. You can make a lot of improvement individually, just understanding the other side of the ball.
And I know training camp is a time for experimenting some. With Liam, we saw him a lot at right tackle in the offseason program. We saw him at left guard on Saturday. Is there a conviction that you and Lem and George and Eric have about where he's better, or is it unclear to you whether he's a long-term NFL guard or a long-term NFL tackle?
It's early. It's so early, So I guess I'm not. I feel like we're saying the same thing every day. There's no long-term kind of thought here. It's just one day at a time, and I think position flexibility is important. And when you get to a game, you only have 8 offensive linemen. So if something happens, you have to be ready to move guys to a different spot. And you want those players to be ready if they have to move to a different spot. And the only way to do that is to practice it. So we'll continue to move guys around. Obviously, Jesse's played a lot of positions, and Rob Hunt's moved around, and Dieter's moved around, and I think we need to do that. Otherwise, if they go in there and not ready, you're going to say we didn't get them ready. So, it's just kind of how it goes, and we're just going to continue to practice guys at different positions because we feel like it's the best thing for the team.
In the vein of offensive players looking at defense and defense looking at offense, I know in New England you guys did a lot of cross-training back and forth. Do you have anything set up for that in the offseason where defensive coaches meet with the offensive coaches and there's a dialogue back and forth just to kind of get a better understanding of the other side of the ball?
Oh yeah, there's constant dialogue among the coaching staff that way, and yeah, we've set a few things up like that to create dialogue, to create conversation. I think it only helps offensive coaches to learn or to hear the defensive kind of mindset, thought process, and same thing for defensive coaches to hear the offensive thought process. I've coached on both, all 3 sides of the ball, so I kind of it helped me. I would say that. I can't speak for anyone else, but it definitely helped me to understand how offenses wanted to attack defenses, and then conversely how defenses want to attack offenses, and in the kicking game, how to attack a field goal protection, or how to attack a punt protection. So.
Is it informal, or do you have actually set up conversations in the offseason where there's kind of like a training exercise? I guess,
Let's call it informal. Yeah, let's call it informal. Formally informal.
Special teams, and I was going to be disappointed.
You think I was leave it out?
I thought for a minute